Ego didn't blow my trading account in one dramatic moment. It blew it slowly, quietly, and convincingly. Here's the solution I wish I had learned earlier. The moment I stopped trying to prove I was right to the market, I stopped losing money unnecessarily. Everything before that was just denial with charts on the screen. When my account finally took the hit that wiped out months of progress, I didn't feel shocked. I felt exposed. Because deep down, I knew exactly what happened. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't manipulation. It wasn't even a bad strategy. It was me, my ego. And the worst part is that ego didn't feel dangerous while it was happening. It felt justified. I remember the early stage clearly. I started having a few good weeks, clean entries, a couple of strong wins. My confidence grew, but it wasn't obvious arrogance. It was subtle. I started trusting my read of the market more than my rules. I told myself, I understand price now. That was the first crack. Then came the first warning loss. I should have exited early. The setup was invalidated, but instead of accepting it, I said, this is just noise. I widened the stop. It felt smart in the moment. Price bounced slightly and I felt validated. That small relief trained me to believe breaking rules could be rewarded. From there, ego took control without asking permission. Every trade became a test of whether I was right, not whether the trade was valid. I stopped asking, is my idea still working? And started asking, why isn't the market doing what I expected? That question alone tells you everything. I would sit there watching price move against me and argue internally. The level is still there. They're just hunting stops. This shouldn't be happening. I wasn't trading anymore. I was defending myself. And the market doesn't negotiate with defense. The losses started growing, not because my entries were terrible, but because I refused to accept invalidation. I didn't want to be wrong. I wanted to be right. That desire cost me more money than any bad setup ever did. At some point, I started revenge trading, but I didn't call it that. I called it re-entering. I would lose a trade, then jump back in almost immediately. Same bias, same direction, no fresh confirmation. I told myself I was being decisive. In reality, I was trying to prove something to myself. If this sounds familiar, pause for a moment. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Share this with someone who keeps saying, I know this should work. This story isn't about shame. It's about stopping the bleed before it gets worse. Ego also showed up after wins, and this is where the real damage happened. When I won, I didn't just feel happy. I felt validated. I felt smarter than the market. That confidence pushed me to size up slightly, then slightly more. Then I started skipping confirmations because the market was obvious. It wasn't obvious. I was just blinded by my own success. I remember one trade in particular that accelerated the damage. I took a loss that violated my rules. Instead of stopping, I increased size on the next trade. I told myself I needed to make it back. That trade lost too. Now I wasn't just wrong, I was emotional. And emotional traders don't see risk, they see urgency. From that point, my account stopped being a business and became a battleground. Every trade felt personal. Every loss felt insulting. I stopped following my plan entirely, but I still told myself I was trading experience. That's ego's favorite lie. The account didn't blow in one day. It eroded through oversized losses, ignored stops, and stubborn holds. And when it finally hit a level I couldn't ignore anymore, I didn't feel angry. I felt empty because I realized something painful. I hadn't been unlucky. I had been undisciplined. That was the moment the real learning started. The first solution that changed everything was separating my identity from my trades. I had to accept that a losing trade does not mean I'm a bad trader, and a winning trade does not mean I'm a genius. When I stopped attaching my self-worth to outcomes, exiting bad trades became easier. I no longer felt like I was admitting failure every time I closed a loss. The second solution was defining invalidation before entry and treating it as law. Not a suggestion, not a guideline, a law. If the reason I entered the trade disappeared, I exited immediately. No waiting, no hoping. That single rule would have saved my account if I had followed it earlier. For example, if I entered because price was holding above a key level, the moment it failed to hold,
I was out. I didn't care if it later reversed. My job was not to catch every move. My job was to protect capital and stay consistent. The third solution was fixing my position sizing. I realized ego thrives when risk is too large. When I risked too much, every tick felt personal. I would defend bad trades because the loss felt threatening. Once I reduced size to a level where losses felt tolerable, my behavior changed automatically. I didn't need willpower. I needed smaller risk. I also forced myself to pause after losses and wins. This was uncomfortable at first. Ego wants action. Ego wants to prove. Pausing felt like weakness, but that pause saved me from revenge trading and overconfidence more times than I can count. Drop a comment if you've ever taken a bigger trade right after a loss or a win. You're not alone, and admitting it matters. Another critical change was how I talked to myself. I stopped saying, "This will go up," and started saying, "If this happens, I'll exit." That shift from prediction to condition removed ego from the equation. The market didn't need me to validate me anymore. I just needed to respond correctly. Over time, my equity curve stabilized, not because I suddenly became smarter, but because I became humbler. Losses stopped spiraling. Wins stopped inflating me. I started trading like a professional instead of a person trying to be right. Here's the truth I wish someone had told me earlier. Ego doesn't announce itself as arrogance. It announces itself as confidence, conviction, and certainty. And if you don't keep it in check, it will quietly destroy your account while convincing you you're doing the right thing. If this video is helping you reflect honestly, like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this before their next emotional trade. I didn't fix my trading by finding a better strategy. I fixed it by getting out of my own way. Ego blew my trading account once. I don't let it trade for me anymore. If you made it to the end, comment what ego habit you're committing to cut out starting today. Like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who thinks the market is wrong more often than they are. That one change might save their account the way it eventually saved mine.